Fixez.com, bringing you yet another repair video today. Looks like we're going to be working on an LG Nexus 4. As always, before we get started with our repair, let's review our suggested tools. T5 Torx screwdriver, small Phillips screwdriver, plastic opening tools, a spudger, fine-tipped curved tweezers, a heat gun or a blow dryer. The Nexus 4 that we're going to be working on today has an obvious cracked touchscreen here. Along with that cracked touchscreen, the LCD is no longer working. So in this video, we're going to show you how to disassemble, remove, and replace both the touchscreen and the LCD display. To begin our disassemble on our Nexus 4, we're going to locate the two T5 Torx bit screws, one on either side of the dock port, and remove them with our Torx bit screwdriver. With our two screws removed, we want to use our plastic opening tool around the perimeter of the phone. You'll notice a seam where we can begin our separation to help remove the back portion of our phone's case. After removing the rear portion of the case, we can now bring our attention to the battery. Let's use our Phillips screwdriver to remove the screws that secures the battery terminal. And now that the terminal's removed, we can use our spudger to pry the battery up and out of the phone. There's an internal plastic cover that's protecting our motherboard. We want to use our Phillips screwdriver and remove the 9 screws that are securing this cover. Once removed, let's use our spudger to pry it up and out of the phone. The speaker assembly is next, secured with 2 Phillips screws. With those removed, it should be able to lift out of the phone quite easily. Let's now work towards removing the motherboard from the phone. We have a series of connections we want to address first. With the flat side of our spudger, we can start with our coaxial connection for our antenna. The next connection is going to be our dock port assembly connector. Let's lift the connection for the headphone jack assembly. We have 2 plugs located here for our display assembly that we can pry up. And our last connection, which is for the rear-facing camera. With that connection removed, we can lift the camera out of the phone. Let's not forget to use a SIM card removal tool or a paper clip to remove the SIM card tray out of the side of the device. And with the tray removed, the motherboard should be free for removal. At this point, you should be left with just a display assembly supported by its frame and a dock port connector at the bottom. We can leave those components on the frame as we don't have to remove everything to get the display assembly out safely. To begin removal of the display assembly, let's begin with our heat gun or blow dryer and begin to heat up the adhesive that is securing it to its frame. About 1 to 2 minutes of heat should suffice. And then we can begin the separation of the display assembly with our plastic opening tool, where we enter from the grill area of your earpiece speaker. Gently pry up and work around the entire perimeter of the display assembly until it comes completely separated from your frame. Depending on how severe the damage was to your display assembly, You might have some debris or shards of glass that's left behind in the adhesive as you remove your display assembly. Go ahead and use your spudger to clean up this area so that we can prep it for the new adhesive and the replacement part. You'll notice our fresh adhesive laid down on our framework here after we've cleaned up the debris and glass from our previous display assembly. Fixez.com sends out free adhesive strips with all of our replacement parts. You're going to utilize a razor blade or an X-Acto knife to go ahead and cut all your adhesive to size and lay it in place in prep for your replacement part. To get started laying our replacement display, we can go ahead and remove the covers to our newly laid adhesive strips. With those removed, we can be careful as we fish the ribbon cables through for our display. With those cables through our framework, we can now align everything up and begin to gently push down and secure our display assembly to our framework, making sure it's firmly secured in our new adhesive. With our replacement part firmly in place, we can now begin our complete reassemble, pretty much doing everything in reverse, starting with our motherboard. Setting it into the body of the phone and maneuvering it around our new display assembly cables. Let's reinstall the rear-facing camera and push its connector down into the motherboard. How about we connect the headphone jack assembly? Our dock port connector is going to be next. Let's secure our coaxial connection for our antenna. And finalize with our 2 connections for our new display assembly. Let's drop in our speaker assembly next and secure the 2 Phillips screws. Let's clip in our plastic protective cover and secure it down with all 9 Phillips screws. Let's now install our battery into the phone and connect the terminal down, securing it with its 2 screws. We are in the home stretch. Let's bring in the rear portion of the phone's cover, clipping it down the entire perimeter of the phone securely. Install the 2 T5 Torx screws. And let's not forget about our SIM tray. With the phone entirely reassembled, we can power it on to check for full functionality. And there you have it. Another successful repair by Fixez.com. All of the replacement parts and tools that you've seen in this video today are available at www.Fixez.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter.